Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com. I'm making this video just a few days after the Bob Arum imposed deadline on Floyd Mayweather expired. I'm just making this video to share my thoughts on what I think Manny Pacquiao should do next. First, let me just say, let's all be aware that whoever the promoter is in the sport, fighters have to look out for themselves. Promoters often have agendas that are different than the fighter's agenda. Bob Arum's agenda is to make money for himself, right? To do that, he likes to have fights in-house. It looks like two different fighters, but they're both promoted by Bob Arum's top-ranked productions. So if you look at many of Manny Pacquiao's fights, his fight against Clottey, his fight against Cotto, you'll find that both of the guys were promoted by Bob Arum. So Bob Arum wins regardless of which fighter wins the fight. Not only that, the best possible outcome for a fight in which Bob Arum has both fighters, from Bob Arum's point of view, is an exciting fight where the fans are demanding a rematch. This way, Bob Arum gets money for the first fight. Bob Arum also gets money for the rematch. If he's lucky, if it's a trilogy, he'll also get money off of the third fight. Now, Manny Pacquiao's interests are different. They aren't to make money for Bob Arum, it's to make money for himself and to also protect his health and to get the win, right? Whereas Bob Arum, in a fight between two of his own fighters, really doesn't care who wins the fight because he owes a fiduciary duty to both. Manny Pacquiao, on the other hand, wants to win the fight. Now, there's been talk about having Manny Pacquiao fight another Bob Arum fighter, and that's Antonio Margarito. That fight is extremely risky. Understand that Margarito is not a counterpuncher. It's a different style. Margarito, like Pacquiao, is a lead puncher. Margarito also has had several fights against guys with faster hand speed, and he has dismantled them. He beat a younger, and believe it or not, a faster Sergio Martinez. I'm talking about faster than Martinez is now, several years ago. Alfredo Angulo fans are aware that the guy who beat Angulo, Kermit Cintron, got dropped twice by Antonio Margarito, once in the original fight and once in the rematch. And yes, in the rematch, Cintron had a great trainer, Emmanuel Stewart, the same guy now training Miguel Cotto, and still he ended up getting dropped by Antonio Margarito. Very dangerous fight. I have a video up where I'm predicting that if that fight happens, Antonio Margarito has a very good shot at winning that fight. So my advice to Pacquiao is simple. Be your own man. I don't care who the people are around you. Question everything. Question everyone. This is boxing. People around you literally have a multi-million-dollar incentive to be pursuing their own agenda, right? Because these fights generate millions and millions of dollars. So you've got to look out for yourself. You've got to treat your promoter like you treat the hired help. He's working for you. You're not working for him. When he's picking opponents, you need to remind him that the best he can do is suggest opponents to you, right? The fans come to see you fight. They don't come to see the promoter. So, if Manny Pacquiao is thinking about fighting in Monterrey, and I understand Bob Arum is entertaining the thought of having Pacquiao fight Antonio Margarito in Monterrey, Mexico, if Pacquiao is thinking about fighting in Monterrey, let me flip the script. Let me make a suggestion. This fighter is probably an easier matchup for you and would generate at least the 1.4 million pay-per-view buys that Shane Mosley and Floyd Mayweather generated. And this fighter, unlike Antonio Margarito, is unbeaten, and that is Saul Alvarez. Manny, I would think you would do better against Saul, and he would be a great payday, and the fans would be much more interested in that fight than if you were to fight Antonio Margarito. For those who don't know, I consider Saul Alvarez to be the future of boxing. The only question in my mind is whether he gets the belt at 147 or at 154. I believe the young 19-year-old has the capability to do either. He's a devastating fighter. Here's the catch: styles make fights. Saul Alvarez isn't a lead puncher. He is a counter puncher. Manny Pacquiao's style is made to beat counter punchers. They cannot handle Pacquiao's volume. They cannot handle Pacquiao's movement. They cannot handle Pacquiao's speed. Counter punchers are there trying to read movement and speed, and Manny Pacquiao simply overwhelms them. It is only very seasoned, very, very elite counterpunchers like Juan Manuel Marquez, guys who have been around the block long enough to know how to deal with speed, who aren't overwhelmed by Manny Pacquiao. I think Pacquiao has a much better chance of beating Saul Alvarez than he does Antonio Margarito. Yes, I know that view is controversial to many. Let me also point out too, Manny, if you're thinking about your legacy, nothing is going to help your legacy more than beating a young lion who then goes on to several years of dominance. Probably the fight that has helped Lennox Lewis's legacy the most, I would argue, is his fight against Vitaly Klitschko. Not that Lewis looked that good in that fight, but at least even the Klitschko people know he fought their man. In other words, you look at Lewis and you say, wow, who gave Vitaly the toughest fight to date? And it would probably be Lennox Lewis. I know Vitaly lost twice. Take a look at both of those losses. Highly questionable. One, he had an injury. All I can say is nothing helps your legacy more than beating a young lion and then having that lion rule the roost. What happens if Saul Alvarez goes on to dominate boxing over the next 8 years and Manny Pacquiao beats him, gives him his only loss, or at least gives him his first loss? That would certainly help the Pacquiao legacy, in my opinion, 10 years from now, a hell of a lot more than beating Antonio Margarito. Also, nothing sells tickets better than an unbeaten fighter. Pacquiao could say that he tried to fight Floyd Mayweather, an unbeaten fighter, and was unsuccessful. And so he then moved on to fight another unbeaten fighter. Manny, I hope you question everybody around you. I hope you question me in this video. But at the end of the day, I hope you sit down. I hope you look at styles. I hope you ask yourself, which style works better against your style, which fight's going to be box office. For those who don't know, all you have to do is announce a Saul Alvarez fight in Mexico, and it's a sellout. Also, it's an open secret in boxing that no community helps drive pay-per-view numbers more than the Latino community. Bob Arum even has a Latin Fury pay-per-view series that routinely gets hundreds of thousands of buys. My point to you is the Latino community is very aware of Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao has beaten several guys: Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, Oscar De La Hoya. His underground nickname is the Mexicutioner. The Latino community is very aware of Saul Alvarez. They understand that this young man might be the future. I'm just saying, the day that fight is announced, it will immediately be a sellout at the location. Let's say in Monterey, it would be a sellout. And then I'm just saying that the pay-per-view numbers would easily top 1 million. I believe they would astound all of us. Manny, hope you think it over. And just make sure you get advice from people other than just your promoter. Good luck.